I'm not going to give it up. All right, I'm not going to give it up. Good morning. It is 6:04, and it is great to have you here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. There are millions of people around the country and thousands of Kansas Cityans getting set to go to the airport today. And the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, is very concerned with your outfit. And he's doubling down on it, and it's driving me nuts.
I'm getting pissed now.
I don't understand. Just give it up, Sean. Give it up. He's been on this since last week. Sean Duffy's been talking about how people need to dress better at the airport. And I'm like, brother, we are going into a year or a week when it is the busiest travel week of the year. And I promise you, this week will not be a success, and it will not be a failure based on what the regular people are wearing to the airport, man. So knock it off, stop being out of touch, and just make sure the airlines, the FAA, and the TSA are doing their job. That's it. That's all you need to do. And then leave the rest of us alone. Sean Duffy was asked about this yesterday, and here's how it sounded.
Talking to passengers this morning about your civility campaign, they feel like it's putting the onus on passengers to create a more pleasant air travel experience. I know you're putting billions of dollars into this revamp for ATC to make that better, but can you talk about what you're doing immediately on your end to help with the air travel experience and talk directly to passengers here?
Well, so I would just tell you, yes, can everyone do a better job? Can TSA do a better job? Can we do a better job as we bring more air traffic controllers online and we get a brand new air traffic control system up and working so we have less delays and less cancellations? Yes. Those things. Can our airlines maybe do a better job on their end? But in the end, it's my responsibility to behave well. I can't offload that to anybody else. It's me. And how am I going to behave? How I'm going to have my kids behave as we travel together. How I dress, I can't blame it on anybody else. I made that choice this morning when I came to the airport. So that's just the ask. And I think I'm not trying to put a blame on anybody. I'm just asking us all to be better and do better. And then we'll all have a more pleasant experience. And it's no one has to, again, I can't fine you if you don't comply. I'm not looking to do that. But I'm asking, let's all do this as better Americans.
You know, Sean, here's the thing. My kids overall behave pretty well. And they've been on, boy, for little kids, they go on 1 or 2 major flights a year. They were on 2 last year. And you know what drives them nuts? You know when they start acting out? When the planes are delayed. I'll never forget Thanksgiving. Must have been 2 years ago now. We had a Sunday flight, and instead of taking off at 2 o'clock, we took off at like 8 o'clock. Kids were not happy. Kids didn't behave well. So this is a chicken or the egg conversation here. And Sean Duffy is of the approach that if we just all behaved a little better and dressed a little nicer, well, the airlines would, I guess, be on time more frequently. The TSA would do a better job, would stop groping me. The FAA would make sure the flights are on time because I'm dressed nicer. I did pick up family at the airport yesterday. And my dad was in a button-down. I said, you dressed just for Sean Duffy. So that was very nice.
Such a nice man.
That was very nice of you to dress up for Sean Duffy yesterday. He said, yes, I didn't want to let down Sean.
Do you think Sean would appreciate a holiday sweater, or is that a little too much?
That's a great question there, Mark. I don't know if the ugly Christmas sweater would qualify under Sean Duffy's perfect attire wear going into the airports on Thanksgiving week. That's a great question. I'm not sure. We'll have to find out. Maybe I'll reach out to his people and try to ask.
I know my hoodie and hat would be off-putting for sure.
Oh, he would not be a fan of your outfit, Mark. Even though, of course, I think he's a sports fan and you always have sports gear on, I'm pretty sure that Sean Duffy would want nothing to do with your attire. If he could, he might throw you in the gulag for dressing like that with that flat brim hat and a hoodie. He's not going to be impressed at all. I mean, this is out of touch. And he doubled down on it, too, yesterday when Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, said this.
Do a better job. And by the way, most flights are pretty darn good. And people do behave really well with one another. It's just
So why are you bothering us? Most flights are on time and people typically behave well. Oh, so why are you going on this crusade against what people wear? What are we doing?
A few of those times where, again, don't take your shoes off and put your feet on the chair ahead of you. That's just, or maybe don't play your movie without headphones on. There's some simple things that can annoy the folks around you that we don't have to do that. And so just be cognizant and courteous. That's the ask.
Okay, on the text line, Pete, I agree with Sean Duffy. Pajamas should be banned by TSA. If you dress better at the airport, maybe you'll act better. Okay, if you showed me data that suggested people that wear pajamas to the airport are more likely to get into fistfights, I'll buy into that. I definitely will. I mean, if you show me the data that says the pajama class is the class that's most likely going to cause a scene on the airport. Do you remember the lady that went viral for claiming she was seeing ghosts in the back of the airplane? Remember that, Mark? A couple of years back, she was going nuts.
Yeah.
And, we'll never know what happened. But she was a very attractive lady, probably 30-ish years old, went to Oklahoma State, went viral. I mean, she was dressed to the nines. She was dressed well. She got a lot of attention because of how good she looked. And she caused a whole slew of issues on that flight.
I feel like people that are dressed nicer may have more money to buy more alcohol at the bars.
Well, that's a great point as well. I mean, how often does booze factor in to some of the issues at airlines or at airports and on airlines? That's an excellent point. On the text line, Pete, great observation about Duffy, but if you've ever flown with several people that are still wearing their pajamas from last night's 10 hours of sleep, and all you smell are pajama ass for an hour and a half, that's no fun. Okay, I've never smelt pajama butt on an airplane. I don't know what that is. It sounds terrible, but I'm just sitting here telling you, I don't think that's all that frequent.
Yeah, hygiene is appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, if we're saying put on some deodorant, fine.
Basic hygiene.
Yes, sure, put on deodorant. But, man, this moral high ground that Sean Duffy's trying to take on this thing, when the things that he can actually control, the things that should matter the most to him, are making sure everything's on time. So on the outside chance you sit next to somebody with bad hygiene, you know that plane's going to take off on time, that plane's going to land on time, and the stench is only going to last for the hour and a half that you have to be up in the air, and not an hour and a half on the tarmac, followed by an hour and a half in the air. This is unbelievable. I can't get over it. Now, we've got some tips here from Channel 9 KMBC. MCI estimates that 383,000 travelers will go through the airport from yesterday through next Monday. That is a slight decrease compared to last year, but obviously still very high numbers. And there are a few things that KCI wants to make sure that you do to make sure your trip goes as smoothly as possible. And no, they're not talking about your attire. Give yourself at least 2 hours for domestic flights, 2.5 for international. Monitor flight status. Apply for the guest pass if you need it. And then also, this is a big one, and this one was personal to me. Take a photo of where you parked. I have parked in that lot right across from the airport. I did it back in September. And I was like, I know where I am. I'll be fine. And then I spent about, 10, 15 minutes being like, which level am I on again? So I'm the guy that's hitting the lock button to try to hear my car and try to make it beep.
Through all levels.
Yeah, exactly. That was me. Because that garage is great, but, every level looks the same, obviously.
I'm going to open my notes on my phone and put the row and the number on it.
That works as well. I was a little overconfident when I parked there last time around, and I was like, man, I gotta do this better next time, John.
Wonder if Sean Duffy would approve. If I want to save on baggage, what if I just wore 3 changes of clothes all at once,
Yeah, that could work.
Right?
I'm in with that.
Yeah.
Would you bring your fishnet tee or would you leave that one at home?
Well, that'd be the first level. That's
Okay.
party.
Yes, that's
right.
Yeah.
Then I have business casual, and then I might have a 3-piece suit on.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Text line 913-408-7957. Pete, it's hard to find a reason to wear pajamas at the airport. Okay. Maybe I need to be a little more nuanced. I'm a little under the weather this morning. I'm not supporting the pajama wearer. I'm not. What I'm doing, though, is telling the people that work for the government to worry less about what people are wearing and more about the things they can control that make people happier, keep the flights on time, and keep the drama down and keep the stress level down. Because the thing that stresses people out much more than someone else wearing pajamas are flights that are delayed by hours.
The message should maybe come from the airline, not the government.
Yeah.
If you want to knock off $50 because I'm wearing a tie, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. I'll wear that tie,
Right.
man. If I can upgrade to extra legroom by throwing on a tie, I'll do it. Or I'll just wear one of those T-shirts with like the tuxedo on it. That might work as well. That'd be a good look. 913-408-7957, the text line and the studio line on KCMO Talk Radio. Pete, not on either side. It's very strange that you don't want people to do better presenting themselves. No, you're missing the point. I don't want the government telling people how to present themselves. When there's
At the
nothing,
airport.
yes, when there's few things less pleasant than air travel in America today, and I've got the people in charge suggesting that if I dress better, I might have a better experience. No. You focus on you. You focus on the things you can control. And if air travel becomes more pleasant, I promise you, people will dress better as well.
Nancy and Ronnie ushered in an era of opulence, but they led by example, not by decree.
Oh, that's right. That's a good point. That's a very good point there, John. So if you're traveling, try to wear your Sunday best this week, all right? If you're heading up to the airport right now, turn around, go home, grab a sport coat, make Sean Duffy proud this
Yearbook
morning.
picture.
Yeah, exactly. Coming up on KCMO on a Tuesday morning, Republicans are having a lot of issues right now, infighting on one major topic that is just a thorn in their side. We'll tell you what that is and what happened yesterday coming up next.
from Leawood to Liberty. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, the drama is building as we head down the home stretch of the new year. So this is what's going on right now. And this report came down at 5 a.m. this morning from the Wall Street Journal. But there were stories like this starting to pop yesterday afternoon, so I knew I'd talk about it. But we got the most in-depth reporting on this morning, less than 2 hours ago, from the Wall Street Journal. Headline here, Speaker Mike Johnson flashes red on Trump's healthcare push. So yesterday we told you how the president had a healthcare plan that included extending Obamacare subsidies for 2 more years and tightening some of the restrictions around who qualifies and who doesn't. But it basically just would have been continuing the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act for another 2 years. And yesterday, as news started to come out, that was not flying in Republican circles. And by the way, nor should it. So yesterday, it was getting reported that the Trump White House was delaying an announcement on a health care plan, and it will not come out this week. It was potentially going to come out yesterday. And then they got so much blowback that they totally backed off. So what exactly is going on here? There is a lot of infighting happening right now. Wall Street Journal noting that Speaker Johnson cautioned the White House that most House Republicans do not have an appetite for extending enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies. The message from Johnson in a phone call with administration officials came as President Trump's advisors were drafting a health care plan that extended those subsidies for 2 years. The warning underscores the hurdle facing any deal in the coming weeks. Lawmakers have a mid-December deadline for health care votes, promised as a condition for the Democrats voting to end the government shutdown earlier this month. The enhanced subsidies expire at the end of the year, affecting more than 20 million people who benefit from the tax credits. So you have here now Republicans just not knowing what to do. They're right to say extending the Obamacare subsidies is not the answer. I understand also that Trump is basically trying to figure out what to do to make this as palatable as possible for everybody and not get crushed in the midterms because of this issue. But you know what I keep coming back to here is like, okay, why didn't the Republicans handle this in the big, beautiful bill? If they thought they needed to extend the Obamacare subsidies to avoid a political cliff coming up in 26, why didn't they just extend it then? Why? Like, I wouldn't have been a fan of it, but if they just jammed Obamacare subsidies into the big, beautiful bill, no one really would have known about it, right? It wouldn't have gotten a lot of attention. Instead, what you've got now is you've got this on full display. You've got everybody talking about it. You've given the Democrats an incredible opportunity to just crush you with this. You're increasing health insurance premiums for 20 to 25 million Americans, and you have no plan whatsoever. I mean, there have been different ideas that have been floated out there about, using HSA plans, and that is an approach that the president has praised, but no one's really got a concrete idea. I mean, Roger Marshall came on the show, Kansas U.S. Senator, what was that, maybe 2 weeks ago or so, and said he was working on a plan that he could roll out in mid-December. But, I mean, we're 15 years into this Obamacare thing, and Republicans have no answer. So while I think that the Democrats' answer is just to spend more money, $150 billion in subsidies every year on this program, I don't like that one bit. If you are explaining in politics, you are losing. And right now, the GOP is basically running around in circles like chickens with their heads cut off because they don't know what to do. And now this whole thing is going to get delayed at least a week till they figure out what exactly their next move is and what exactly they should do. 913-408-7957 is the text line and the studio line here on KCMO Talk Radio. So the Wall Street Journal notes here, Trump and White House officials did not roll out a plan on Monday. It's unclear what Trump and Republicans will do to address the soon-to-expire enhanced ACA subsidies, that's Affordable Care Act subsidies. Without those subsidies, many enrollees will see their monthly payments jump and could decide to drop coverage altogether. Some GOP lawmakers predicted only a faction of House Republicans would back a bill extending subsidies. The thought is that there are more moderate GOP members who are trying to save themselves next year who would vote to extend subsidies, but that most of the conservatives obviously want no part of that. So the Democrats are eager to take on the healthcare fight. Yeah, of course they are. Because Republicans have no answer. They have no plan. And if you thought a good plan was going to be extending subsidies for 2 years, no, that is a non-starter for most members of the GOP. And it should be a non-starter. So now you sit here and you wait and you see if they can come up with something better. But Monday is December 1st. I mean, let's be honest. You get to tomorrow, no one's really doing anything anyway. Then you get to December, and at least on the Senate side, John Thune said in exchange for reopening the government, we'll do a vote on extending Obamacare subsidies at some time in mid-December. And it would behoove the GOP to have some kind of a plan lined up by then in the next couple of weeks. So I don't know if it's leaning on guys like Roger Marshall, who's obviously right here in Kansas, who is a doctor by trade. But they've got to get some messaging figured out because they have none. They do not have a plan. And this thing could be the thing, or at least one of the things, that sinks them coming up next year. And I don't want that to happen, and I know many of you do not want that to happen either. Coming up, there was a big meeting last night on the Plaza. I heard about this on Sunday. I was following it last night as the guys and gals who want to redevelop the Plaza talk to the neighborhood. And I don't think it went all that well. We'll hear from you and get you this story next.
Hey, it's Vince Gallane's Catch My News Show at 11 o'clock after Kevin Keatsman on 95.7 FM KCMO Talk Radio.
There were hundreds of people out yesterday as the developers, the new owners of the Plaza, met with folks in the neighborhood to talk about what their plans are for the Plaza. And I don't think it went well. I talked to a couple of people privately who were there. I saw the reports on TV last night as you've got this Dallas-based Gillen Property Group, which has spent really the past year promoting their redevelopment vision for the Plaza. And it includes 18-story mixed-use buildings. Like, that's not the character of the Plaza. Whether you've been here for 60 years or you've been here for a little less than 10 like me, you appreciate the Plaza for what it is. The Plaza is not an 18-story mixed-use development away from, like, turning around. It's not. And Fox 4 was there last night. Here is part of what their report sounded like. And then I want to hear from you if you were there. 913-408-7957. You could call or text. Here was Fox 4's reporting on this last night.
Many Plaza area residents say the scale of the proposed towers is their top concern. Early drawings indicate building heights that could reach around 200 feet, roughly 13 to 14 stories for office space, or up to 18 stories for residential construction. That's nearly double the height of much of the existing Plaza architecture. Neighbors fear that such dramatic increases would overshadow surrounding structures, altering the character of the district and potentially lowering property values in nearby neighborhoods. The debate intensified after the city recently approved a height extension for the Seville West project. Now Gillen is asking Kansas City leaders to extend those allowances across the entire Plaza. Caroline Hogan, the PR manager for the Country Club Plaza, said these plans were based off the national standard for areas like this, and it's not set in stone. That's why they need community input.
Because it's all about making sure that we get great tenants in and get great retailers, maybe office space, apartments, yada, yada. That's just what the market, like the national market, holds right now.
The Plaza Westport Neighborhood Association says it supports thoughtful and highly quality redevelopment, but strongly opposes the sudden jump in allowable heights. Robert Martin, president of the association, and Matt Fuaco, the secretary, gave their input to the master plan development.
It's the city's responsibility to give the neighborhoods the opportunity and the status to have some kind of input that means something.
You don't want this wall of buildings confronting you when you when you are walking through the plaza. You want that confined to the outskirts.
I loved that last line from one of the guys, Robert Martin. He's the president of the Plaza Westport Neighborhood Association. He said, as you just heard there, it's the city's responsibility to give the neighborhoods the opportunity and the status to have some kind of input that means something. The city is supposed to be the liaison working on behalf of the people. That's not happening. Instead, you basically have the developers sitting there with the people on the plaza, with homeowners and business owners. And, I mean, you know, they probably appreciate hearing from people, but let's be honest. They're from Dallas. They're trying to turn a profit. They've got a business to run. It's on the city council. It's on the mayor to really work on behalf of the people and make sure that whatever goes on down there is beneficial to folks who already live and own property down there. And that was a great point at the end by Robert Martin to note, like, this is on the city. The city's got to have our back. We can sit here all day and talk to the developers, but in the end, they're going to do what they want to do if the city allows them to do what they want to do through rezoning and things like that. Now, I'm not a fan of their plan. Like, I don't think the reason the plaza's totally failed is because it doesn't have the right 16-story commercial property on it, John. I don't know about you. I don't think that's what it's ever been all about.
Reading through it, of course, they want every break in the book.
Yes.
Too. You know, TIF increments, suspension of payments, different things. It's like, come on, man.
Well, you're right about that. It's like, why'd you guys buy it if you thought it was such a piece of crap?
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And you know what? I heard from a business owner down there on the plaza, and he speculated this 1 year ago. He goes, watch, Pete, they're going to wait for the plaza to really just crash and burn. Worse than it already had. And what they'll do is then basically go to the city with their hand out and say we need everything under the sun, to John's point. We need everything possible because, boy, this is a tough turnaround down here.
Got KC Port involved. I'm like, how far are you from the river?
Yeah, I know.
This is a concept, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, what is this?
The Port KC guys are a joke. I mean, I don't even know what Port KC does outside of give away taxpayer money.
Just call it USAID.
Yeah,
Whatever, right?
yeah.
KC USAID. I mean, if it's just a handout, call it that.
I'm a little sick, John. Don't make me laugh too much this morning, please. It hurts my chest. But you're right. You're absolutely right. On the text line, Pete, I went to the meeting on the Plaza. They claimed transparency in the process, but they gave no dollar figures. The fear is that it comes down to the city council who nobody trusts. Decisions will be made in the December meetings. All right, well, we don't have Quentin Lucas on this week, obviously, because it's Thanksgiving. But next Thursday, which will be our first conversation in the month of December, and Thursday is always city council day, I'll grill him on this because I agree. If I was a homeowner, if I was a business owner down there or in the Plaza area, I wouldn't trust these guys as far as I could throw them right now. I mean, it kind of feels like the Royals listening tour, right? Or the Royals survey that they're sending out. Hey, we want your input. Wink, wink. No, you don't. You're 3 years into the process. These guys that own the Plaza, they've owned it for what, at least a couple of years. They know full well what they want to do. They know how they want this to go. Now they've got to put on the dog and pony show for the news on behalf of the neighborhoods and be like, oh, yeah, come on out. We'd love to see you. Really? Would you? I'm not convinced that you would love to see me. And Monday night of Thanksgiving week, can you think of a worse time for people than last night? I suppose you could have done it at like 8 in the morning. At least they did it at night. I'll give them that much. But this is not like, let's try to have a meeting when the most people possible can be there. The Monday night of Thanksgiving week. So what is next on this? After Monday night's meeting, the proposal moves to the City Planning Commission for a public hearing 9 a.m. next Wednesday, December 3rd. There will be a virtual meeting today at 1:30 to discuss tax incentives and financing for the project. So this is where this is all lined up from here. But early drawings indicate building heights that could reach around 200 feet, roughly 13 to 14 stories for office space, or up to 18 stories for residential construction. That's nearly double the height of much of the existing buildings on the Plaza. So let's destroy all the character the Plaza has and make it like every other quasi-downtown space when there's no evidence to suggest, John, that there's really all that much demand for office space anyway right now.
Well, there's a demand for wardrobe. This is meeting season, right?
Yeah,
Did you say it was December 3rd?
Yeah, yes.
December
yes.
2nd for the Atmos thing over in Wyandotte County, right?
Good point.
We're on that energy rate hike. So, I don't know what I'm wearing now.
I don't know what you're wearing either.
It's meeting season.
You got to buy some new outfits. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And meeting in Missouri on December 1st for sports betting. So.
I know.
Wow.
I know. I heard from John Patterson, Speaker of the House in Missouri. They've got a big kickoff on Monday where I think like they're going to have politicians placing parlays. So I'm trying to get Mark down there for the big meeting in Jeff City and see if they'll take a Van Sickle parlay special.
That would be fun. I think Laura Kelly placed a bet on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl when it went live. Of course, that was in September when it went live in Kansas a couple of years ago. So she had a nice futures bet that she hit.
Oh.
And then I think she donated it to charity or something.
Oh, yeah. Sure she did.
Maybe they'll do something like that. Maybe actually a Chiefs Super Bowl pick right now would actually be pretty good money.
Yeah,
you
you get pretty good odds on that. So, speaking of next Monday, it's the first bet ceremony in St. Louis on December 1st. So that's happening next week on the other side of the state. All the politicians are going to be there. I don't know why they're in St. Louis. What are they betting on, hockey right now? I mean, come on.
Yeah, St. Louis Blues.
Come
that's
on.
their big thing.
All the action.
Not a good bet, by the way.
Yeah, come on. Get over here to Kansas City. Talk about and bet on the Chiefs. Why are you going to St. Louis? What a loser move that is. Total loser move. Coming up, the 6 at 6, top 6 stories in the 6 o'clock hour. We'll get to with you here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM.
From Gladstone to Gardner, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
All right, we are rolling till 7 o'clock here on KCMO Talk Radio. It's that time of the morning.
It's time for the 6 at 6 on KCMO Talk Radio. Number 1.
Joshua Rocha was sentenced to death by lethal injection yesterday after he was found guilty of murdering North Kansas City police officer Daniel Vasquez. Under orders from the Missouri Department of Corrections Director, Rocha will be executed by lethal injection at a date set by the state's Supreme Court. Rocha sat shackled, awaiting his fate for his action at a July 19th, 2022 traffic stop where he was pulled over for expired tags. North Kansas City officers and other law enforcement filed in the Clay County's courtroom yesterday where they sat alongside the family of Officer Vasquez. So prosecutors, as we know, sought the death penalty. The jury agreed with two aggregators. Not only did Rocha kill a cop, they found the murder wantonly vile. It took jurors several days to make their decision last month, recommending that death penalty rather than life in prison. So now we await that date of the lethal injection for Joshua Rocha.
Number 2.
Next up in the 6 at 6 here on KCMO Talk Radio. We told you about this yesterday. We have a follow-up to the story. There was that car that flipped upside down in Brush Creek over the weekend. One person is dead after they were found in a car that crashed into Brush Creek near the Plaza early on Sunday morning. This was about 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. According to KCPD, the passenger in the car that was found upside down in Brush Creek died at the hospital on Sunday. They were originally reported to have life-threatening injuries, but KCPD released the update about their death on Monday. So at this time, the driver is still in the hospital and remains in critical condition. Investigations are ongoing, and that is being led by KCPD. The victim's name at this point has not been released.
Number 3.
Well, how about this? An Overland Park man has been arrested after holding a group at gunpoint for 3 hours. The Lawrence Police Department says that an OP man was arrested over the weekend for allegedly holding a group at gunpoint for hours. According to arrest records, Garnell Andreas Moore Williams was taken into custody at about 3 a.m. on Sunday on Michigan Street. Lawrence police had their crisis response team involved. They found a victim with dried blood on his head. The victim told investigators that around midnight, he and about 8 other people were at a friend's home when one of the men, Williams, said someone had stolen money from him. Williams became angry, pulled out a gun, refused to let anyone go until he found the money. For the next 3 hours, the victim said that nobody was allowed to leave, and some of them were strip searched. The victim said he was hit on the head with the gun during that time, and he was taken to an area hospital for treatment. After 3 hours, Williams reportedly let everybody go. Police then set up a perimeter, waiting for him to leave before arresting him without further incident. He was booked in the Douglas County Detention Center on preliminary counts of aggravated robbery, aggravated assault, and parole violation. He was given no bond. The case is still under investigation. No bond. How about that?
Number 4.
All right, rolling through our 6 at 6, there is no GOP health care plan as of this morning. Wall Street Journal reporting here in the last couple hours that Speaker Mike Johnson has cautioned the White House that most House Republicans do not have an appetite for extending the Enhanced Affordable Care Act subsidies. Yesterday, the president was apparently going to roll out his health care plan that included a 2-year extension of these health care subsidies. And Mike Johnson met with the president yesterday and basically told him the votes are not there to extend these subsidies for another couple of years. So now we just sit here and we wait to see what their plan is. But we know this much. There is a mid-December deadline for health care votes that were promised as a condition for Democrats voting to end the government shutdown earlier this month. So this is impacting 20 to 25 million people who benefit from these Obamacare tax credits. It was obviously set to expire at the end of the year. It was a big holdup in the government shutdown from the last couple of months or so. And now we wait and see what exactly the GOP plan is going to be, if any at all.
Number 5.
Next up, all right, how about this? Jesse Jackson was released from the hospital after treatment in the ICU. Reverend Jesse Jackson released from Northwestern Memorial Hospital yesterday after sources said he was receiving care to manage his blood pressure. How old do you think Jesse Jackson is? Just take a guess.
85.
78.
I would have guessed, like you, Mark, 78. John nailed it, unless it's Price is Right rules, 84. I did not think Jesse Jackson was 84. But he's been under observation for a period of time now. He's currently in stable condition, and obviously he's continuing to battle some of these health issues. But when I saw the headline yesterday, and then I saw that Jesse Jackson was 84 years old, I was shocked, man. I couldn't believe that. Or 85 years old, excuse me. I was absolutely shocked. So he's hanging tough. Good for him. And he is out of the hospital. So we'll keep an eye on that health issue as well.
Number 6.
All right, last up in the 6 at 6, let's run down what was in large part a very busy sports day. You've got college basketball happening in the middle of the day. That means it's, of course, Thanksgiving week. So you had Mark's KU Jayhawks. He's all decked out in his KU gear, beating Notre Dame yesterday, 71-61. Did you hit a big parlay on that one, big guy?
I was so close. They had to score 74 points in order to get it, and they only scored 71.
Okay, so the answer is you did not.
Yeah, I got everything else right.
All right, well, it's not horseshoes. So now you've got KU playing Syracuse today, 2:30 tip on TNT. Tonight on Fox Sports 1, Kansas State is taking on number 25, Indiana. So that's happening tonight as well. And Missouri takes on South Carolina State. That's a 7 p.m. tip-off on SEC Network Plus. And then you've got the college football playoff rankings also dropping tonight ahead of the final weekend of the regular season in college football. So a very busy, great time of year if you are a sports fan. And college hoops all day. You've got obviously a great NFL slate coming up on Thanksgiving. And then all the college action. Man, this is the time to be Parlay Van Sickle. I'll tell you that right now. And if you're in Missouri, of course, you've got December 1st coming up as your time when you can place that sports wager with our friends over at FanDuel. There's your 6 at 6, top 6 stories in the 6 o'clock hour. How much money is spent on fast food with food stamps? An amazing new number next. So you can be the biggest food stamps fan ever, but tell me why any of it should be spent at McDonald's or Wendy's or Taco Bell or any other fast food joint. I mean, explain to me what the benefits of that are. I don't think there are any, and I find it to be completely indefensible. We've got this story here from the Washington Times that says more than $500 million in SNAP funds were spent at fast food establishments from June of 23 through May of 25. So that's over a 2-year period. It's about $250 million a year. And it's being highlighted by Joni Ernst to our north up in Iowa. And she is highlighting the states that are still allowing SNAP benefits to be spent on fast food places. I don't understand. Even if you're like, hey, food stamps are good, we need more people on them. I mean, I think that we can pull this number back from 40 million. I don't think that should be a hard thing to do. I think there's probably plenty of abuse that goes on. I mean, you've got more than 10% of the country on food stamps. That's crazy. But then it's like, what should it be used for? It should be used for Whole Foods. It should not be used on things like soda, sugary drinks, fast food. And Kansas and Missouri actually do a much better job on this than some other states. But as you would expect, I mean, this is something that Joni Ernst highlighted. You have largely blue states that are totally fine with spending massive amounts of money, millions of dollars, on food stamps to go to fast food chains. She notes here, franchises like McDonald's are making, as she notes, McMillions off SNAP benefits. All right, that was kind of corny. That was actually really corny, but whatever. Allowing fast food to be purchased with food stamps is an idea that is a few fries short of a Happy Meal. You're trying too hard, Joni Ernst. Just give me the data. Okay, stop with these cheese ball statements on McMillions and a few fries short of a Happy Meal. Spare me, John.
That's what you get when you let your sophomore write your speech.
Yeah, exactly. But the broader point is this. Corporations lobby for EBT and food stamps. The American people subsidize junk food choices, and then what happens after that? They subsidize the health care of people who are malnourished, people who are obese, people who are unhealthy, all while big food and big pharma make huge profits and write PAC checks, and they shut down the government for it. I mean, that's really in part what happened here over the last couple of months. It wasn't all about this issue. This issue just came to the forefront as the shutdown went on. But, I mean, $500 million in food stamps spent at fast food restaurants over a 2-year period. How are we not on the same page, left, right, in the middle, on saying, all right, if you need food stamps, you got to go to the grocery store, buy some healthy food, feed your kids. I get it. But you're not going to McDonald's for a Big Mac. All right, you're not doing the, what's a popular item at Taco Bell?
Chalupa.
There you go. Thank you very much. I have not been to a Taco Bell, and I think it's been probably 10 years, give or take. I think the last time I was in a Taco Bell was after Kate's 10-year high school reunion, which would have been literally 10 years ago this weekend. I think that's the last time I got Taco Bell.
I think the last time I was in one was actually a really nice one in Vegas when I went there a little over a year ago in October.
Okay.
They had a cantina, a Taco Bell cantina.
Oh, wow. That's fancy there, Mark. Look at you. Look at you. Big swinger there. How about that?
Alcoholic beverages there.
I am never out that late, obviously, especially during the week. It must have been last week. I don't know what night it was. But I was driving by a Taco Bell near our house, and I could not believe the line. I was like, you mean people still eat this crap? I was shocked. I was genuinely shocked. It's one thing when the food was like $1.99, but like all these fast food joints, I mean, they're now charging $6, $7, $8, $9 for this crap.
I think sometimes people say, oh, there's a car in line, they're open. And then a couple more cars come in. There's only one guy working there, and then it takes a while.
It was like 6 p.m. It wasn't that late. Yeah, okay. No. I literally am not out past 6 a lot of nights. No, it was not all that late. Like, it was like 6, maybe 7 o'clock. But I think I had one of the kids with me, and I was like, man, that Taco Bell is bumping. Now, maybe you're right, Mark. Maybe it's because there was literally one guy working at the Taco Bell, and they're like, whoa, what's going on here? But I couldn't believe it. Now, here's some other numbers that came out of the study. A 2016 agricultural department study, I'm reading this from the Washington Times, found that 40% of food stamp spending went to staples such as meat, fruits, vegetables, milk, eggs, and bread. Great. Another 40% went to cereal, processed foods, rice, and beans. The remaining 20% went to sweets, salty snacks, or sugary drinks. Indeed, soft drinks topped the list of commodities by expenditure for SNAP households, accounting for 5% of spending on sugary drinks. We've gotten rid of that in Kansas and Missouri. I'm glad that we've gotten rid of that. That's just a no-brainer to bail on those things when it comes to using your food stamps. But still, it's $100 billion a year that we spend on the program for 42 million Americans. Asking for just some reins on this is really not a big ask. And it should be, I think, bipartisan. Alan is on KCMO in Holt. What's up, Alan? Sorry there, Alan. Your phone's cutting out on us, buddy. I apologize. John, did he have a great point?
I didn't talk with him. We had 3 calls, though, 3 attempts to get him in here, so it's been touch and go this morning.
That's all right. It happens.
Yeah, I think he's a little far out there.
Yeah, you are. I'm impressed we've gotten the reach up there in Holt. That's damn good, man. And today's a great day to get in. Thanksgiving week. People are taking off. They're traveling. They're going to the airport. Let's go up to Holt. Why not?
I'll be driving through Holt in a couple days.
You will be. Maybe you stop and help out Alan with a cell phone up there, Mark. What do you say?
I could do that.
You give the guy a little help, all right? Take care of him while you're at it. So I saw this from the Washington Times. I'm like, man, this is something we've got to get some more attention on. And Daniel Turner with Power of the Future is the guy who shared it with me. He's going to be on the show coming up at 8:20 this morning. Now, yesterday you had this from the Vice President of the United States. J.D. Vance putting up a big post yesterday after we got off the air. And here's what J.D. Vance posted on social media. It's gotten 4 million views now. J.D. Vance writes, after 4 years of house prices doubling, many young Americans feel priced out of the American dream of home ownership. A welfare fraud scandal in Minnesota reveals that large numbers of new arrivals are not assimilating and are funneling our tax dollars to terrorist groups. An innocent woman was set on fire in Chicago as the mayor resists federal law enforcement resources to bring peace to one of our great cities. The Obamacare insurance system is buckling under its own weight, and the country is $38 trillion in debt. Our administration is working hard on addressing all of these problems. But you know what really fires up the Beltway GOP? Not any of the above. Instead, the political class is really angry that the Trump administration may finally bring a 4-year conflict in Eastern Europe to a close. I'm not even talking about the substance of their views. Much of what these people have said about the Ukraine war has been proven wrong. But whatever, we can agree to disagree. But the level of passion over this one issue when your own country has serious problems is bonkers. It disgusts me. Show some passion for your own country. Can't two things be true at once? And I'm really not getting in the weeds of whatever's going on with Russia and Ukraine. I think most people are just like, just make it stop and stop sending our money over there. Okay? I mean, I don't want to give Putin whatever he wants, but Zelensky's going to have to give up something. It's just, it's a fact. Zelensky can't win the war. He's playing defense. He's trying to protect what he's got. And he can only do that with our help. And we've been very generous to the people of Ukraine. Anyone suggesting otherwise is just not being straight with you. But I think two things can be true at once here. Whatever certain people's criticisms are of the administration's handling of Ukraine and Russia is one thing. But I think most people are still saying, okay, what are you doing about these home prices? I mean, J.D. Vance sounds like a guy who's like not the vice president. It's like, okay, well, then fix all this stuff. And I know it doesn't happen overnight. I'm not naive. I like J.D. Vance a lot. I'm a big fan of his. But this post reads like somebody who isn't actually like in a position of power. And it's like, bro, you are in one of the biggest positions of power here. All right? So, I mean, yes, I would like for you to focus on the American dream, on home ownership for young people, on figuring out why the health insurance industry is such a mess, Obamacare buckling under its own weight, a country $38 trillion in debt. But, you guys are stacking those trillions on top of the 38 right now. So stop talking like somebody who's not in power. I mean, yeah, fix the overseas stuff. And I will tell you something. I saw some posts yesterday, people criticizing the Trump administration for being too focused on things happening overseas. And I think that's unfair. I saw a lot of people suggesting that Trump has chosen to squander a generational mandate on foreign policy. I don't believe that that's fair. I think what actually has gone on here is that Trump has viewed foreign policy as something that he can just do. He doesn't need Congress to do, right? He can just do it. It requires him to cut deals. So it's one of those things that he can do without getting in the weeds of Congress by and large, and that's why he's gone about it that way. I don't believe that Trump has squandered his mandate on foreign policy. I just think it's one of those things that he can do as a business guy and as a deal maker, so he's been doing it a lot. The other stuff does require Congress, and they've got to get that part figured out as well. Steve is on KCMO. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, good morning, brother, and pretty happy Thanksgiving to you.
You too, my man.
So you mentioned the affordable housing thing, and this seems to be something, and I just turned 49 on the 10th of November, and this has been something I've been hearing for all of my adults that I don't hear anybody talking about on the national stage or the local stage or the state stage or even on your show for that matter. If you look at the rate of divorce, which is between 50 and 60%, when a divorce occurs, one of those two parties has to go find housing because they are, forcefully removed from their home, whether it be mom or dad. I'm not being gender specific. And if I do the numbers just shooting off of my hip, that probably eats up 25% of housing that otherwise would be available to purchase for a new young couple or even an older couple that's going to get married or what have you. And nobody addresses that. And I mean, illegal immigrants, yeah, they do take up housing. It's not as big a number as everybody thinks it is. I think what I'm talking about is a larger number.
But let me push back on that. Most people that get divorced, if they are in a single-family home, they don't then each go into a separate single-family home. Someone usually ends up in some apartment somewhere because that's what they can afford. It's not like they're gobbling up single-family homes because usually they don't have the money to do that.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. But even taking up an apartment space still takes away some form of housing.
Yeah, but rents have actually trended down because that's all these developers want to build. It's the single-family home that just keeps skyrocketing. The rents have actually held up okay, at least the last year or so.
Then what would you say, like when you look at now I grew up in Johnson County, Gardner, Edgerton area, and I remember when the housing boom started in the 90s, mid-90s, early 90s, whatever. You could easily buy a 3-bedroom, 1-car garage, even 2-car garage, 1-bathroom house. Do you think that the problem with what people want now when they look at a home is if they have 3 kids, they all need their own bedroom. Boys can't share a room anymore. They need more than 1 bathroom. If we went back to a simple housing plan, like the house that I grew up in, which was just what I just described, that would easily make pricing of homes between probably 180 and 220.
I would agree with you there, Steve. I think that people want more quicker because we're in a, I want it and I want it now society. I agree with you there. Great call, Steve. I would agree with you on that front. If we can bring back true starter homes, 2-bed, 1-bath, 3-bed, 1-bath, 1,200 square feet. I know that those aren't going to be popular, but if you can get equity in those homes and then work your way up from there, that gives you a starting point that currently doesn't seem to exist. The question is, can the developers build those? Can they turn a profit on those? Can they cut the regulation to obviously turn those things quickly and sell them quickly? Those are all questions that obviously, the developers have to answer. But you do have some projects going on in South Overland Park that were highlighted on the news last week that are very cookie cutter, but are basically ways to get into home ownership at the ground level and try to build up equity from there. Great call. 913-408-7957. There was a story out of Olathe I want to highlight in terms of the way it was covered by local media. I'll share that with you next.
from the nation's heartland. You're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
So last thing, I just want to note this on the housing issue. America's got about a decade left of demographic support for housing. After 2032, deaths are projected to exceed births in this country, meaning population-driven housing demand weakens unless one of two things happen. Birth rates rise or immigration fills the gap. So that's 2032. I mean, you're talking about 7 years away is when the birth rate in this country will no longer exceed the death rate because you'll have a lot of baby boomers who are getting older and will start to sadly die. And we're not having enough kids. So you got to fill those gaps with either immigration or do something else, John.
Well, unless you're on the De Niro plan.
Yeah.
You could be reseeding as you go out,
John, I told you, I'm not feeling well. You can't make me laugh this morning, okay? You got to rein them in this morning, but I appreciate that.
Boss.
No, that's great. That's a great point. Pacino and De Niro, they're keeping things flowing in this country.
As they go.
Yeah, exactly right. Oh, my gosh. That's too much. All right, real quick here on this story. A man was beaten and robbed at gunpoint during sale of personal property yesterday afternoon in Olathe, 600 block of South Curtis Street. I looked it up. It's like a warehouse with nothing around it. It's like, boo, do not go meet people in random parking lots with nothing around it. I mean, you're go to a fast food place or so. I mean, do something.
Police stations have parking spaces dedicated.
I mean, this is
Quick Trip.
Yeah, I looked this up, 600 Curtis Street. I couldn't think of a worse place to meet somebody I didn't know than 600 Curtis Street in Olathe. Just Google map it, and you're going to be like, what was this guy thinking? Robbery happened at about 1:45 p.m. The victim told police during the sale he was robbed at gunpoint, beaten by 4 men. Channel 41 wrote here, descriptions of the 4 men were vague. Police said the suspects fled in an older car with black rims. And I'm like, vague? What does that mean? Just what do you know about the identities of these guys? So finally, Channel 5 does a decent job. They say one of the suspects was described as being a man with blonde hair wearing a white T-shirt, another wearing a white ski mask, black hoodie, and blue ripped skinny jeans. So it's like a bunch of, my point is, I thought Woke 41 was trying to go woke on me here. And it's like, just tell us what you know. All right, it's losers in masks and skinny jeans. Thank you. Give me the information that I need. You'll get the news coming up in a minute. You'll get Dave Trabert on 3 big stories on the Kansas side next.
From Overland Park to Parkville, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Kansas State Board of Education attorney writes a letter reprimanding the state school board member Debbie Potter. What is going on and why does it matter to parents around the state? Dave Trabert on that and more here on KCMO at the Kansas Policy Institute. All right, Dave, what's the story here, my man?
Well, good morning, Pete. It's good to be here. State school board members, like in a lot of cases, same with local school board members, are expected to sit in the corner, be good little boys and girls, and do what the Department of Education wants them to do. Debbie Potter bucks that trend. She asks questions, and sometimes it angers the people who think they should be in charge. Like this attorney works for the Board of Education. He's not an employee, he's a contractor, but he has no business reprimanding a state board member for things he just doesn't like. He wasn't saying she was violating any laws. He didn't like the fact that she was talking to parents at because the state board is the local board for the school for the deaf. He didn't want her talking to parents. He didn't want it. What really probably precipitated this, kind of the final straw, school boards have consent agendas, and there was a contract for $47,000 for an audio-video company to provide a service at a conference. It was on the consent agenda, and Ms. Potter said, I'd like to have that pulled from the agenda so we can discuss it. You know, should it go out to bid? Is it the right price? Well, that angered the board chair, obviously, at the meeting, and shortly thereafter, here comes this flurry of letters, basically trying to intimidate her.
Wow. I mean, someone actually doing their job in this space, getting basically intimidated like this. I mean, doesn't that tell you everything wrong with the way the system's currently set up?
Yeah, it does, and you nailed it there. She is doing her job. School board members are charged with oversight. They are in charge, not the Department of Education, not the local superintendents. Those people work for the boards of education and take direction from them. Boards of education set the goals. They hold the district and the department accountable for achieving those goals. Mm-hmm. But that's not the way the system wants it to work. The system works really hard to encourage. They pretty much tell board members, your job is to approve a budget, be a good cheerleader, and just sit in the corner and do what we tell you. And that's a large part of the reason why Kansas has been on a 10-year downward spiral. We're down to only 17% of graduates college ready in English, reading, math, and science on the ACT.
That's amazing. You know, I want to take that last tidbit that you just shared there and weave it into what's going on in Indiana, where third grade reading proficiency is at 87%, up 5 points from 1 year ago. In Kansas, only 52% reached that level in the latest testing available. So the obvious question, what is Indiana doing that Kansas can maybe learn from?
Well, and it's a great connection to the previous story because you have, like Florida did 30 years ago, and Indiana has done, or Indiana, Mississippi, they are there. You have the legislature and the departments of education acting to improve. They say, look, we are not where we want to be. We have to do better. They do it responsibly. It's not like finger pointing. They're just saying, we're going to put a plan in place and we're going to work the plan so kids get the outcome, the education they deserve. Where in Kansas, it's we're going to pretend that things are okay. We're going to sweep unfortunate results under the rug, and we're going to try to intimidate people into being quiet. We need the Kansas legislature needs to intervene. They need to require compliance with law. I mean, we have a law called Every Child Can Read. We pass laws, all these good intentions. We're going to do these things. Then we find out school districts aren't following the law. The Department of Education knows it and tries to sweep it under the rug. The legislature is going to have to put a stop to that. It's easy. It's follow the law, do your job, or lose your accreditation. But that means legislators have to stand up to the education system, and some of them are worried they might not get reelected if they do that.
So that's what it's really about. It's about personal gain or potential reelection for some of these people if they stand up for the actual students themselves.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, they don't argue the facts. They don't say, oh, no, we disagree. They are following law. No, that's not it. It's just we don't want to talk about it.
Jeez. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, is joining us on KCMO. And to be clear, I mean, we've talked about this and we've prefaced it this way before, but this is really, I mean, I think that most teachers are doing their best and working with what they've got, but the system is not set up for them to succeed in many cases as well. How does that factor into this conversation right now when you talk about reading proficiency in Kansas at 52% versus 87% for third graders in Indiana?
Well, you're absolutely right, Pete. Teachers are really working. Everybody's working hard, okay? This isn't that we have bad people. No one's setting out to say, I don't want kids to do better. We really believe that the administration on down, they all want kids to do better, but too many of them are unwilling to change their behaviors to make that happen. And you need to create an environment that says, look, nobody's at fault for where we are, but we're all responsible to understand that we're not anywhere close to the education that kids deserve, and we're going to have to do a lot of things differently. Nobody's to blame, but everybody's responsible. Teachers are working their butts off. Here's, for example, so we talk about Indiana, Mississippi, other states, they put these laws in place, and they do it with a sense of urgency. In Kansas, we have a tendency to say, we're going to do it, but we're going to give you several years to get ready to do it. No, we're not going to. We can't. I mean, you don't want to rush it, but you have to get kids. You can't let another generation of kids fall behind while we're trying to let the system take its time to get up to speed. We have to move with a sense of urgency. And that has to start from the top. It has to start with school boards and legislatures.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. All right, Dave, I want to wrap it up here. Story: Oklahoma has assessment limit and much lower property taxes than Kansas. So I know that people don't just decide today, you know what, I'm going to Oklahoma. I mean, they've got jobs and lives and families and things like that. But why does this story matter? What can Kansas learn from it?
Well, to your point of people don't pick up overnight, but over time they do. Since over the last 25 years, Oklahoma has a net gain of 145,000 people choosing to move to Oklahoma, while Kansas has a net loss of almost 200,000 people net choosing to leave Kansas and go to other states. Part of it is taxes. And Oklahoma has had a limit on the taxable portion of your home, not the market value, but the assessment limit. They started out about 30 years ago limiting the increase to 5%. In 2012, they tightened it and made it a 3% limit on residential and agricultural land. That's part of the reason that Oklahoma has much lower property taxes than Kansas. I'll give you an example. A $300,000 home in rural Kansas, which the Lincoln Land Institute designates as the rural location for Kansas, that home would pay $6,000 in property tax. That same home in Oklahoma pays $2,000.
Wow!
We have the fifth highest effective tax rate on rural residential property in the United States. But that's not all. We have the distinction of having the worst effective tax rate on commercial property in rural parts of the state. A $1 million property in rural Oklahoma with a couple $100,000 in fixtures would pay $12,000 in property tax. In Kansas, it's over $45,000.
Man, that's crazy. And considering we got to save our rural communities, that is, terrible data.
It's basically saying get out of town.
Wow.
And it all comes down to how much local officials choose to spend, because, communities in Oklahoma don't have any less service than Kansas. They have education, they have health services, they have roads, they have it all. They just do it at a much lower cost.
Jeez. Great information.
And so the assessment limit is the key.
Yeah.
Along with a revenue limit. And that's where there's going to be another tense discussion in the legislature in 2026, trying to convince enough legislators to let voters decide if there should be a limit on the increase in assessed value.
Great topic for next year. I hope they're on it. Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute. Have a great Thanksgiving, my man. I appreciate it.
Same to you, Pete. Take care.
See you later. Dave Trabert on KCMO Talk Radio. Stumbled upon a show last night, and it got me down the rabbit hole of one of the great conspiracy theories in American history. I'll dive into it with you coming up next.
On Tuesday's Guy Benson Show, Mark Thiessen on the Ukraine-Russia peace talks, plus our annual gratitude tradition ahead of Thanksgiving, coming up at 2 o'clock on KCMO.
So this past weekend was the 63rd anniversary of JFK's assassination. And last night just stumbled upon a show on ABC. I was done watching some of the college basketball. I watched Houston beat Syracuse in overtime. I don't know if that was part of your multi-way parlay there or not, Mark. It was? Okay.
Needed Houston, and it hit.
It did hit, yes. Houston took care of Syracuse in OT. And now Syracuse plays KU today in what should be a pretty good game. And I'm flipping around, and I don't know. The Monday Night Football game wasn't really appealing to me. 49ers and Panthers. It's just like, oh, gosh, nothing good there. So I'm just flipping around, and ABC had on a documentary last night, and it was basically about conspiracy theories around JFK. And if you've read Bill O'Reilly's Killing Kennedy or his book Killing the Mob, both end up exploring various conspiracies around JFK, which I am fascinated by. I mean, I like a good conspiracy theory. I'll admit I'm a sucker for a good one. But something about the JFK one just stands out above the rest because, you know, I wasn't even close to being alive for it. So I just find it that much more interesting. I don't know why. But then I'm going down the rabbit hole last night as I'm starting to feel like I'm going downhill personally. I'm then going down the rabbit hole on my phone, reading about some of this stuff. And I'm like, I've got to get Bill O'Reilly on the horn. But I thought back to when O'Reilly told me, whatever that was, 2 or 3 summers ago when Killing the Mob came out, that he does not believe the mob killed JFK. And I'm like, come on, Bill, I want to believe it. Give me something to latch on to. He's not there. And I'm sure I could just open up the phones all day and do like, you know, which conspiracy theory do you buy into the most or the least, which will drive John nuts. He'll kill me by the end of the show if I do that. So I won't do it to him.
There was somebody behind the picket fence, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. I could do this all morning, but I said I don't want to do it to John a couple of days before Thanksgiving. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for John. I'm thankful for Mark. And the way that I show my thanks would be opening up the phone lines to what's your favorite conspiracy theory? Oh, no. Oh, no. He's going to kill me. He really is. But I just keep going back to Jimmy Hoffa, RFK Sr., the fact that JFK gets elected, appoints Bobby as AG, and, you know, they're going all in on organized crime, including Jimmy Hoffa, who was, of course, elected Teamsters Union president, I don't know, sometime in the late 50s or something like that. And you had a situation here in America at that time where the union was controlled, and they controlled the majority of commercial trucking around the United States. So I could lean into this all day. And I didn't think ABC, of all places, would be the one that would be having in prime time documentaries on the JFK assassination and some of the potential conspiracies around it, because I thought that was too too cuckoo for someone like ABC. But I'm glad they did it, and it was pretty good. And I just stumbled upon it last night, and I was like, oh, man, I am all in. Oh, gosh, now I got the text line all wrapped up in some conspiracy theories. Oh, no. Oh, no. I don't know if I could read these. Pete, what about the moon landing? I've never bought into the moon landing one. I mean, I don't know. That one, to me, I've never really gone deep into the rabbit hole of. I know the idea of, like, we needed something to prove to the world that we were still the greatest country on the planet, and we had to beat the Russians and the whole deal. I don't buy into that one. I haven't done a lot of deep dives on the moon landing conspiracy, but maybe I'll do that over my Thanksgiving break. I've got time.
The lighting allegedly was off on it. Shadows, stuff like that.
So who knew Mark was deep on some of these conspiracies?
It's kind of odd.
John, do you want to share your favorite conspiracy theory, or do you want to sit this one out, man?
I don't have one, actually.
You don't?
No.
Oh, no. All right, fine. Mark's is the moon landing. Mine is
I don't
JFK.
like any of them.
Yeah. Doesn't like any of them.
I tell you what.
Oh,
I got
man.
friends that get all wound up about the contrails in the sky. That's a good one.
Oh, that is a good one. I like that. All right. Well, either way, Now the texters are going nuts on the moon landing. So I told you, John, I'd do you a favor. I wouldn't make this a phone call segment, all right? But the text line is going nuts now on the moon landing. So I'll just leave it at that and let the story roll on from there. Coming up on KCMO Talk Radio, 913-408-7957 is how you join us. We will get to your calls on Tirade Tuesday. That is at 8:30. This is your last chance before, of course, we get into Thanksgiving. So if you want to get something off about your Uncle Ned before you go see him on Thursday, Tirade Tuesday coming up in a half hour is your chance to do it. Meantime, we've got record travel. What does it mean for Kansas City? What are the numbers going to look like here in Kansas City? And why do I keep banging my head against the wall on this one issue? We'll get to it coming up next. Got some tips here that KCI is wanting to share with you if you're getting set to go to the airport today or tomorrow or anytime this weekend ahead of the holiday. We'll get them to you here on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio. We're always streaming on the KCMO Talk Radio app. I can't think of a better idea than you pulling up to your Aunt Sally's house. You're staying for a couple of days. You wake up tomorrow. You're getting your cup of coffee, and you tell that Google or the Alexa in your aunt's home to play KCMO Talk Radio. That'll really get things started off on the right foot. What could possibly go wrong? Just roll with it, okay? Just roll with it. Roll with me here. That's all. But in the meantime, as you heard just now, top of the hour news there from Fox, Sean Duffy is still all about you dressing up. He just can't help himself. Here's part of what the transportation secretary had to say.
Do a better job. And by the way, most flights are pretty darn good, and people do behave really well with one another. It's just a few of those times where, again, don't take your shoes off and put your feet on the chair ahead of you. That's just, or maybe don't play your movie without headphones on. There's some simple things that can annoy the folks around you that we don't have to do that. And so just be cognizant and courteous.
That's good.
That's the ask.
That's the best part of his advice. Now, I've been killing Sean Duffy for some of these statements he's made lately where he's like telling people to, not wear pajamas to the airport. And I'm not a pajama wearer to the airport. Trust me, I've never worn pajamas to the airport. I just think that the transportation secretary should be focused on other things when it comes to air travel, not what I'm wearing. Not what I'm putting on me that makes me comfortable, since I don't know if the flight's going to take off on time. I don't know if I'm going to get stuck on the tarmac. And I know I'm going to get someone tossing a bag of stale peanuts and pretzels at me as they walk down the aisle. Like, sorry, man, I'm not going nuts when it comes to dressing up for that scenario and that situation. If I was in first class, maybe. But when you're traveling with little kids, you're just trying to get them comfortable in like row 18. What I'm wearing is very far down the list. But yeah, I don't think people should be out there and putting their feet up without socks on other people's chairs. I don't believe that they should be out there listening to a movie without headphones on. I agree with that. I agree. But I also would like to see the data that would suggest what motivates most of the fights that you end up seeing on social media at the airports or on the airplanes. And I would venture to guess it's oftentimes triggered by an event like a delay, where people are at their wits' end, where they've had enough. And if Sean Duffy can focus exclusively on that, we'll all be better off. Every single one of us, John.
It's not like the pajama wearer has got, something nice at home and just says, I think I'll choose this, right? So the attitude's already built in, and I don't think Sean Duffy's going to affect it at all.
Well, you're right. And that's the other thing, too. Like, because airlines, as much as they've gone up in price, because flying is more affordable to tens of millions of Americans than it's ever been, you're going to get different levels of clientele depending on the airline, the seat that you buy, and things like that. Let's be honest. Who's got the most fights that you see? And I'm speaking anecdotally.
Oh, outside the cruise lines?
Yes.
Right.
Which airline has the most fights that you see on social media? I know it's a little taboo to say it. Do you know where I'm going here?
No, because I don't keep up
Spirit.
with
Spirit.
I would have guessed that if you had a gun to my head.
Spirit. Every other fight I see is on Spirit Airlines.
Yep.
I'm not knocking anyone who flies on Spirit, but it's like I've done Spirit once by myself, and I would never do it again. I'm not doing that again. I promise you. Mike is in Weston. What's up, Mike? You're on KCMO.
Thank you, Pete. My dad, test pilot, his whole life worked for the FAA, et cetera. The safest place on an airplane to sit is over the wing, and he said never go on a commercial flight without boots on, laced up. He said if that plane goes down, walking off that plane, walking out of there, no matter whether it's everybody's alive still but it's on fire, he said you won't make the door. Your feet will melt. Do not ever wear flip-flops on a plane. I'm just giving you 2 tips that he gave me.
Okay, so that first tip was what?
Sit, get your seats over the wing. Sit in the front of the plane, pretty much you're dead. Back of the plane, of course, you got everybody going by you to the restroom. But either way, those are the two pieces of
How
advice.
do I know where the wing is, though? I mean, do I just ballpark the middle of it?
When you go to book your flight, you look at the chart on the plane, and it'll show you which seats are.
I guess it'll. Yeah, because you're right. There'll be some larger seats there in the middle. That'll be where the exit is over the wing.
Even if it's not those exact seats,
Yeah.
even if it's not those exact seats, the wing area is much safer for seating to live through a crash.
Got it.
And
And
live
then
through two of them.
I'm still confused by the boots thing there, Mike. I'm pretty sure if the plane goes down, I'm not going to plan to survive it.
Well, why not? You want to walk away from it, don't do it in flip-flops. That's all he was saying.
I think I'll have much bigger problems. Listen, I would say in general, flip-flops are a bad idea in general at the airport. I mean, you go into the bathroom, you got all the germs around there. I mean, you got urine all over the place. You don't want to be in an airport in flip-flops.
No, I don't.
But
I'm just giving you those two pieces of dress advice and where to sit.
All right, there, Mike. I can
Have
tell
a nice
that.
Thanksgiving.
Thanks, you too, buddy. I appreciate that. I can tell that Mike has definitely taken his own father's advice, and he has lived it to a T. I guarantee you, Mike has taken that advice, and he has lived it every single time he's gotten on an airplane.
How about Sean Duffy just telling us not to make direct eye contact with anyone? Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good
my
way.
MO, dude. I'm just sitting in my seat. I'm not looking up here.
I like that. I like that. On the text line, Pete, what about Crocs? What would Mike say about Crocs on the airplane? I don't know. Mike's going to now talk John's ear off on Crocs. I don't know if Crocs were around when Mike's dad was flying.
No.
So I don't know if that really works, but I would say that Crocs are a no-go. I would avoid the Crocs too.
You want a nice pair of walking shoes.
That's what I mean, man. You got to be comfortable. I usually wear sneakers, like running sneakers or something.
That's my biggest complaint about Sean Duffy's dress-up thing. I don't want to wear nice shoes.
Well, you're right about that. Now, I know that they have dress shoes these days that obviously are much more comfortable than they were, 10, 15, 25 years ago. But still, he's so right. I can't imagine. The one time I was dressed up on an airplane was when I was coming back from the Fox News hit I did with Harris Faulkner a couple of months back, right? Because I left Fox. I did the interview with Harris. I got right out to 6th Avenue. I jumped in an Uber, and I went out to the airport. So that was the one time.
And did you get treated any better?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
That,
You're right. I did not get treated any better there, John. Spot on. So I'm sitting there in the airport, and I thought about going to change, but by the time I unpacked the suitcase and then I got to put the suit into the suitcase, it's like, this is not worth it. So I stayed in my suit for the entire flight. I stayed in my suit, obviously, driving home from the KCI airport. And by the time I got home, I mean, I think I was kind of rude to Kate and the girls because I was like, I know it's been a couple of days. I haven't seen you in a couple of days, but I got to get out of this damn suit.
Yeah, the monkey suit.
I got to get out of this thing. Let me please change, and then I'll come back and give everybody a big hug and a kiss. But I have to get out of this suit, John. It was very unpleasant.
I'm going back with what Mike was talking about there in West, and I'm wondering if I can get a snorkel down my sleeve here, which, if I'm right-handed, maybe I should put it on my left side.
Oh, that's great, man. So here are the tips from KCI ahead of the week. Arrive early, obviously, 2 hours domestic, 2.5 hours international. Monitor your flight status. I did that yesterday, picking up at the airport. Very easy to do on their website, flykc.com. Apply for a guest pass. Remember, you can now go to the other side of the airport, even if you're not flying, because they're begging someone to buy the food over there. So you can get a guest pass if you need it for the airport. And this is one that I love. Take photos of where you parked, because I have roamed around that parking lot across from the airport, hitting my lock button, trying to figure out where it was I parked. I've done that probably twice in my life, and that airport's only been open for a couple of years now, John.
Yeah, Mark hit on a good idea here. Might be a good time to open up one of those shoe shine stands at the airport.
Yeah.
If everybody's taking Sean to heart.
Yeah, that's a great point as well.
Sean Duffy is big shoe shine guy.
He is. He is. Him and Joe Pesci, big shoe shine guys. All right, coming up, Daniel Turner's going to be here, Power of the Future. We had him on last week to talk about energy prices, this Atmos Energy story where they want an $11 increase.
Million.
11 million, is it?
Oh, no, it's 19 million total. What's that per customer a month, isn't it?
$11 a month increase is what Atmos Energy wants. So I had him on last week to talk about it, and Daniel Turner with Power of the Future did a deep dive into what's going on here in Kansas and Missouri and why our energy prices keep going up. He'll answer it coming up next on KCMO.
Hey, it's Kevin Keatsman. Stick around. I'm coming up at 10 o'clock right after Pete Mundo on KCMO 95.7 FM.
Last week, we told you how Atmos Energy wants to increase your costs by about $11 a month. There's a public hearing coming up next week in early December where you can obviously share your concerns with Atmos Energy. And listen, I have said that, I think that Atmos Energy and Evergy, one of our other big area companies as well, certainly has the politicians by the short hairs. At the same time, there are things they have to deal with when it comes to bad municipal and countywide policy. And after we talked to Daniel Turner of Power of the Future about this last week, he did the research for us. Here he is. Daniel, what did you find about some of the issues here in Kansas and Missouri and how it impacts our energy rates?
Yeah, it is great to be back on with you. I mean, we went through regional decisions by county commissioners and by mayors, all of whom are overwhelmingly Democrat, and all of their green agenda policies, whether it's net zero commitments, whether it's carbon neutrality commitments, whether it's percentage of electricity that will be generated from renewables by the year 2030, et cetera. These are all the things that people campaign on because they sound great in slogans, but then the rubber hits the road, right? And they have to actually be implemented. So, I'm normally not one to come out in defense of big corporations, but Atmos here is not the bad guy. They're going to get stuck with it, and that's what the left knows. The left knows they have a fall guy, but their crappy net zero and carbon neutral rules are what is driving up what's driving up prices in every single area. We went through and we put it on our website at powerthefuture.com. I put it in a tweet and I actually tagged you. But we went through Missouri counties, Cass, Clay, Jackson, Platte, Ray, Kansas counties, Douglas, Johnson, Leavenworth, Miami, Wyandotte. Right, we went through a whole bunch of counties and said, look, this is why your electricity is going through the roof. Atmos is not the bad guy.
So I'm looking at this, and whether it's the counties or the cities, Kansas City, Missouri has a climate protection and resiliency plan. Lawrence, Kansas, down the road has an 80% reduction goal. How do these plans and these goals actually end up impacting the companies who then pass the cost on to, of course, the customer?
Yeah, when you say our county has to produce 50% of electricity by renewables by the year 30, that begins a countdown clock. So if you are the county commissioner, if you are the county utility provider, and you say, okay, right now 0% comes from wind and solar, and I've got to get that to 50. So I have to start buying wind and solar from an exchange. So you go to a neighboring state or a neighboring region that has wind and solar for sale, and they'll sell it to you, but this is a hot commodity because everyone has the same stupid mandates. So what do? They charge a premium for it. So this is how you start getting there. Little by little, you have to provide more wind and solar by law. Otherwise, there are some other sort of incursions, whether it's a fine, whether it's some sort of penalty. So their hands are tied, and we're not building any more wind and solar farms because all of that money has dried up. So these mandates, are they going to be reversed? Of course not. There's a group out in your area. It's called Climate Action KC. I'm looking at their board of directors right now. A bunch of lefties, a bunch of, do-gooders. Climate Action KC. They brag about how they have pushed for these changes in the whole Kansas City area. Bring them before a hearing. You bunch of little tool bags, you're the ones who are forcing us into this net zero stuff. You don't provide electricity, right? You don't run a utility. Now you've gotten your will by lying to the voters. Why aren't you held responsible? Where the hell's the hundreds of thousands of dollars of this nonprofit, Climate Action KC? Take their damn money and use that to pay off your net zero bills. I wonder if any of those people will attend tonight's hearing.
Daniel Turner, Power of the Future, is joining us on KCMO. So is there anything that state lawmakers can do to maybe override some of these crazy local policies that are out there? Have there been any examples like that around the country?
It's a great question. I don't think there have because we haven't really gotten to that point yet. But in terms of energy, but in other areas, mostly I'm thinking of crime, the state has stepped in. When crime at the regional level is getting to the point that it's unsustainable. Governors have stepped in and said, I don't care what your local officials voted here, whether it's defund the police or empty the jail, we are now going to step in. Well, this is a green crime that has been perpetuated on the local taxpayers. And so, yeah, I encourage your governor to step in and say, I am absolving all of these stupid laws. I am expunging them from your books because they're not only not sustainable, they are going to cost you, the people, tremendous amounts of money, and they're going to do a lot of damage to the grid writ large. And then ultimately, it's going to lie with the governor, right? Things will get so bad that they will eventually peel to the state capitol, and it will be his responsibility anyway. So step in now and take care of it.
How surprised were you, Daniel, when you started to do the deep dive into Kansas and Missouri? Were you by what you saw and the outcomes around here and what's going on?
Sadly, I wasn't, because, even though you have a very, very red state like Missouri, which no one can deny is a red state, cities are blue, and every city in America stinks right now, right? There really isn't Dallas is the one example, maybe Miami. There isn't a successfully run city anywhere in this country because they are Democrat strongholds, and they elect insane Democrat mayors who put in insane Democrat policies, whether it's on illegal immigration and funding them and giving them all bicycles and ponies, whether it's on health care, whether it's on crime, or in this case, whether it's on energy. So it's not surprising that Kansas City and local areas, same with St. Louis, same with other Jefferson City, it's not surprising that blue cities have crappy blue policies, because that's just how the people act, and they run on this nonsense because these are the things that sound good on slogans. And when you are, having rallies, when I'm elected mayor, we're gonna blah, blah, blah for climate change, and all the pink-haired idiots clap and say, yay, we have a mayor who's gonna lead on climate change. Well, this is what it means to lead on climate change. And you know who always gets stuck holding the bag? Regular, voiceless, powerless Americans. We are the ones who deal with the crime. We're the ones who deal with the increased cost. We're the ones who always have to clean up the messy crap that is generated by pig dog liberals and their awful policies. I'm sorry, I'm getting so angry because I'm sick and damn tired of it. I'm sick and tired of it across the nation, and I feel bad for your listeners right now who are stuck holding the bill. But this is the result of electing Democrats. It never works. It never works.
Well, don't worry. Our guy Mark was right on the dump button in case you said something that we had to maybe make sure didn't make it over the airwaves. But I knew you knew exactly where to toe that line, Daniel Turner. But I get it, too.
Thank
This
you.
is something you're passionate about, and this is what you guys do at powerofthefuture.com. So find them there. The article is there specifically about Kansas and Missouri. And we appreciate your time, my man. Thanks so much for being here, and happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving to you and your listeners. Thanks so much, Pete.
There you go. Daniel Turner with Power the Future, looking at some of the climate plans that are in place for Kansas and Missouri, specifically specific cities, and what that ultimately does to the energy bills. Atmos looking for an $11 a month increase. They have a hearing for that coming up next week. Next, after the news, we've got Tirade Tuesday. It is your chance to rant on whatever you want to get off your chest before you go see the families that you've got to see that you don't want to see for Thanksgiving. 913-408-7957.
On Tuesday's Guy Benson Show, Mark Thiessen on the Ukraine-Russia peace talks, plus our annual gratitude tradition ahead of Thanksgiving, coming up at 2 o'clock on KCMO.
It's 8:34. It's a Tuesday morning here on 95.7 FM, and it is that time of the week.
It's time for Tirade Tuesday on 95.7 FM KCMO.
How dare you?
All right, Tirade Tuesday. Whatever you want to get off your chest, 913-408-7957. You call up, John and Mark will get you right on the horn, 913-408-7957. Let's do it Tuesday before Thanksgiving. Let's start with Jeff and Shawnee. Jeff, what's your tirade, my man?
Hey, first of all, I want to wish all you guys in there a happy Thanksgiving. And when you go to your dinners this weekend and you're sitting across that aunt or cousin or niece with a purple or pink hair, or your uncle that worked for the government his whole life and got that fat pension, just don't say nothing, man. Sometimes being the quiet person in the room is the smartest person. And like my good old buddy Joe told me 20 years ago at work, you can fix a lot of stuff, Jeff. You just can't fix stupid. Our guy won. I'm sure it was a little stressful last Thanksgiving, but just take a deep breath and love them and enjoy them and just figure it out. You can't convince them, and they're not going to be able to convince you, man. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Ain't that the truth, my man? Ain't that the truth? Well said there, Jeff. Nice job, buddy. Nice job. That's well done. And he's right. He's absolutely right. I never get involved in that. I mean, heck, I do this for a living. I have a microphone 20 hours a week. I don't feel the need to argue with someone on Thanksgiving. Heck, I've got an audience of, a massive audience we have here on KCMO. So I don't need 10 people or 20 people at the kitchen table on Thanksgiving to, feel good about myself. So, and I hope that for the rest of you, you take the advice of Jeff as well. Alex in Linwood. What's up, Alex? What's your tirade?
Morning, Mundo. Happy Thanksgiving in a few days to you and your family.
You too,
My
man.
tirade is people in our media that we're supposed to look up to getting speeding tickets. How can us younger folks look up to you older guys if you're getting speeding tickets?
Older guys? How old do you think I am, and how old are you?
Oh, you're 37 or 39, something like that, and I'm 32, so you got some years on me.
Yeah, well, you're right. You're right, and I've got the gray hairs to prove it. I'm
sure.
sorry. I'm sorry I let you down, but it's like they say, be careful who you pick as your role models, all right?
This is true. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You as well, my man. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. Oh, boy. Now I'm falling down the totem pole of people that Alex admires because I got my speeding ticket last week. Not a good look. Not a good look. My kids are still worried. They thought I spent the day in jail for that speeding ticket last week. They were shocked when I came home in one piece. I got to figure that whole thing out, though. I've just kind of left it for the last couple of days, John. I haven't done anything with it because I don't want to think about it. I'll worry about it after the holiday.
Well, you got your holiday costume or your Halloween costume for next year.
Yeah,
set up right. Black and white stripes.
That's great.
Orange or maybe.
That's great. All right. Let's go to Mike in Kansas City. What's your tirade? Go.
The American people. I'm glad that this Kelly thing that they did against Trump, a typical CIA dirty trick, is what the CIA has been doing to the world since the end of World War II. These innuendos, dropping these things, just what do you call it, deteriorating the trust in their leaders and things like that. And this is right out of the CIA handbook. And I'm glad the American people now see it wide open, and they can see just exactly what the Democrats and that CIA congressperson is doing, and Kelly and everything, and hopefully everybody involved has the answer for it.
All right. Thank you very much there, Mike. Have a great Thanksgiving. Let's go to Mike is north of St. Joe. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey there. I just wanted to tell you, anytime I'm watching or listening to this radio station north of anywhere 30 miles outside of the city, it's like watching scrambled corn back in the 80s.
Oh, man. On 95.7 or on 710?
Either or.
Well, Listen, I mean, it just depends on where you're at, like any other radio station. We should be pretty good up to St. Joe, man. I was in St. Joe last week at an event, and we had a lot of listeners up there who said they listen every day on 95.7.
Yeah, just thank God for iHeartRadio, man.
Well, that's true as well, man. The iHeartRadio app can save you as well. It's all good there, Mike. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, buddy.
Appreciate it. Stephen, KCK, what's your tirade? Let it rip.
Yeah, I'm not a Democrat. I didn't vote for Laura Kelly, but you would think that a former school teacher as governor, our Kansas kids would have a better report card than what they do. It's pretty sad we got a former teacher as governor, and she can't do these kids right.
Yeah, they're struggling,
Happy Thanksgiving,
man.
Pete.
They're struggling. Same to you there, Steve. I appreciate that. 913-408-7957. Tirade Tuesday continues. Let's go to Bo in Lawrence. What's up, Bo?
Me and Mr. Mark got to talk. None of my parlays are hitting. What's going on with the parlays?
So your tirades against Mark? Your tirades against Mark?
Dang it.
All right.
Let
All
it
right, I can
rip.
take it.
Let it rip, Bo. Just rip in the Mark, man. Don't hold back.
Come on, Mark. Need some good ones. I need some good Thanksgiving money.
All right. You got a Thanksgiving parlay coming up. We'll give you one tomorrow. How about that?
All right, I'll be listening.
Let's go.
All right, there you go. Mark, you got anything for today? KU, Syracuse? Thank you, Bo. Happy Thanksgiving, my man.
I'll look into it before the end of the show.
Just trying to help people out, you know. Expensive time of year. Turkey costs are up. Got to take care of people where we can. 913-408-7957 on a Tirade Tuesday. Paul in Overland Park. Go ahead, Paul.
All right, Pete. I know you're a little shorter than me, but, I get tired. Every time I go to the pick a rental car up, I feel like I'm the stuffing inside a turkey. These rental car agencies need to scoot that driver's side seat all the way back.
That is a great and very specific tirade, Paul. And I've thought about that myself, and I believe it's because they're cleaning the back seat after they clean the front seat, and that's why the rental car driver's seat is always jammed up to the steering wheel for someone who's 5'2".
Exactly. I think I might even trip off the airbag next time I'm in one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, that's good.
You got one more thing. Here's my tip to save you points on your driver record. Go to the Olathe Police Department or to the court and plead that ticket to a non-moving violation. Pay a little extra, and you won't even show up on your record, and you won't go to jail.
All right. Well, that's always good advice. I do not want to go to jail, Paul. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. But how about Paul taking a shot, too, saying that I'm smaller than him? I don't know. I mean, I may have met Paul once or twice at an event or something, but Paul's making it sound like I'm 5'7". I say I'm 6'1". I'm not. I'm 6 foot and 3/8 of an inch, which means I technically should not be able to round up because I'm under 6 foot and a half an inch, but I round up for a good time because why not? Why wouldn't you, right? I just keep it rolling, whatever. But Paul's right about those rental cars. He's spot on about that. 913-408-7957. Let's go to Tom in Kansas City. What's up, Tom? What's your tirade?
Hi, Pete. Love the show. I just wanted to say that I think it's time we all think about really respecting the food that our family members make on Thanksgiving. No matter how dry that turkey is, you got to tell your mom it's good. That's my tirade.
That's good. That's good. You're such a nice guy there. I agree.
Such a nice man.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. There you go.
Thanksgiving.
It's like the old Sugar Hill Gang song.
I love Thanksgiving.
That's great.
Rappers, I can't remember if it's Rappers Delight or Reprise when they talk about the macaroni soggy, the peas are mushy, and the chicken tastes like wood.
That's outstanding, man. Well, I told you, I mean, we were at Arrowhead the other day, got talking about turkeys with a guy at the game, and he says to me, have you ever had a black man's turkey? And I said, no, sir, I've never had a black man's turkey. And he said, well, I'm going to teach you how to make a black man's turkey, and that turkey's never going to be soggy again. So I got the directions here in my notes app on my phone, and if it's a home run, I'll let you know, and I'll post it up on social media. But here's the thing. I've got to test it first, because if I just say, here's a black man's turkey, and I don't explain anything behind it, I mean, that could not go well for me. And then if it isn't any good, I don't want to post it either. But I'm sure it's going to be good. He just gave me the whole recipe for how to exactly keep it juicy, full of flavor, and not dry. So I'll let you know how it goes. All right.
I don't know if there's any ethnic proprietary knowledge to the turkey moisture.
I'm just telling you what he said.
But it was a good tip, right?
Yeah, I'm just telling you what he said.
Right. Some of us just shove a six-pack in there.
Yeah, I've heard that one too. All right, let's go to Scott and Lawrence. What's your tirade, man? Oh, sorry. Darren in Independence, you're first up. Then we'll get to Scott. What's up, Darren?
Oh, my tirade is against this whole Mamdani and Trump meeting together. Facts, Trump is the president. Facts, Mamdani's the mayor-elect of New York City. Everybody freaks out that they're talking together. That's what politicians are supposed to do. They're supposed to meet together, talk things out, come to some compromises, work together. Everybody's freaking out that they're, oh, my gosh, they're talking. Why can't this be happening all the time? I think Trump schooled everybody that this is the way politics are supposed to be done. And instead of freaking out, we should all say, yay, this is a great thing.
There you go. All right, Darren. Thank you, my man. That's pretty good. The only issue I have with it is that then Mamdani goes out there after the meeting and still says Trump's a fascist. It's like, well, which one is it, buddy? Scott and Lawrence, go ahead. What's your tirade?
Well, it's about the guy that was on the other day we're defending the Catholic Church, their stance on immigration. And I have to tell you, I am a Catholic. I'm an uber Catholic. But the Catholic charities, by inducing people to come from their countries into the United States illegally through a number of ways, as far as incentivizing it with money and food and things like that, and then promising them a better life here in the United States, actually created this problem. And I find it just that height of chutzpah that somebody would come on the radio and lecture us about doing the right thing when they did the wrong thing to begin with.
All right. There you go. Thank you very much there, Scott. Appreciate you, buddy. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Get it off your chest before. You don't want to go down that road at Thanksgiving dinner. All right. That's definitely one you want to go. You're better off doing Trump Mamdani at Thanksgiving dinner than going down the road of that topic. So get it off your chest. That's what we're here for on KCMO. Where are kids electing to go to college? There's a major change happening in terms of where the top students want to be. The Ivies are out. Who's in? We'll tell you next.
From Smithville to Shawnee Mission, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
High schoolers are swapping the Ivy League for the SEC thanks to sunshine and campus culture. This story coming from Fox over the last couple of days. And it goes to show what states are losing college students and what states are gaining college students. Now, here in Kansas and Missouri, we are in the blue. These numbers are net migration of students between U.S. states during the 2022-2023 school year. Kansas gained 3,700 students. Missouri gained 452. So they were both net positive. Meantime, some of the biggest losers, New Jersey, of 27,000 students on net migration. That is basically how many students left New Jersey to go to college in another state versus how many students came from another state to go to school in New Jersey. Illinois, another big loser as well, minus 18,000. Minnesota, Washington, Nevada, California, and somewhat surprisingly, Texas also on this list. But a lot of those deep blue states in SEC country. North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas also is pretty blue here as well. So what's going on? Well, part of what's going on is that, and this is noted in the story, the students are admitting that if they stay in the Northeast, they get politics in their face all day, every day. The article quotes here Krista Peterson, an admissions counselor who works with wealthy clients in the Northeast. And she believes that prospective students are also drawn by the politics down south. They say it's less in their face when they are with their teachers. Wow. Mm-hmm. How about that? So they're a little liberal arts school in the Northeast. And here's the thing. These liberal arts schools in the Northeast, I've been to a couple of them. And they're always in these rundown, terrible communities. But the colleges are picturesque. They're beautiful. Perfect tree lines, beautiful old buildings, because they're gaming the system. And the system is raise tuition as much as you can. The government backstops all the tuition, basically pays for it. You put these kids in debt till they're, 60, 70 years old, and your checks keep clearing. Life is good. They can't default on them. And they're oftentimes in these rundown, just kind of run-of-the-mill communities in places across Pennsylvania and New York and New Hampshire and Connecticut and Massachusetts. And they have no business being what they are, but they've gamed this higher education system. And a lot of these kids are now saying, you know what? I don't want that for 4 years. You mean I can go watch some SEC football and not have somebody tell me that if I'm not on board with there being 7 genders, I'm not a fascist and a terrible person? Boy, how quickly can I sign up for that as an 18, 19-year-old guy, John?
Well, some football and libations. That's all I need for Saturday.
Bingo. I don't need some person protesting to me about how if I don't go along with their crazy gender ideology, I'm somehow like the worst person imaginable. Now, I'll take a hard pass on that. But here's the downside for some of these states. And I don't think we're dealing with this in Kansas or Missouri like there are maybe in the Carolinas, but this was noted in the piece. What's happening now is that they're losing political juice within the state capitals. So what you're seeing here is that these universities are accepting more out-of-state kids. And they're doing it in part because they claim, oh, well, we're getting less funding from the state than we used to get, so they're getting addicted to out-of-state tuition money. And then the states and the politicians get ticked off because they're like, hold on, South Carolina is supposed to be for South Carolina kids. And now you're taking in more out-of-state kids. And then they double down. And they say, well, we got to get the money somewhere. So it's this kind of tug of war going on where the colleges are addicted to money. The states are trying to say you've got enough money, but then what the colleges are doing is they're taking more out-of-state dollars to cover their shortfalls, John.
Right, because your in-state tuition is always cheaper than the out-of-state people.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's the name of the game.
Every in-state guy you got there, you got to make up.
So what they're doing, too, in some of these states is they're putting caps on out-of-state students. North Carolina has a cap of 18%. University of California has proposed a 10% cap by 2033. Texas guarantees admissions to its public universities to students in the top 10% of their high school, no matter what. But they are trying to put some caps on some of these states because if not, you're going to see more of these kids out of the Northeast flood down to the South, which I think is actually a positive trend for the future of the country. I actually think it's great they get out of those small liberal arts private schools in the Northeast and go to Georgia or South Carolina. I mean, nothing's perfect, but it's better. But there is some downside as well to the whole thing that should be noted. And I think this trend is going to continue for quite some time. Coming up, a guy who has gotten national attention here in our area as he tries to save his father. We've talked to him before. We'll tell you what he's got going on next on KCMO. It's a story that is going on well over 30 years at this point here in the Kansas City area. And it is a fight that has been going on for our next guest for that long. Cliff Middleton is here on KCMO Talk Radio. And his father, Ken, in 1991, was convicted of first-degree murder and armed criminal action in the shooting death of his wife a year earlier. He was sentenced to life without parole plus 200 years. And Cliff, who is joining us here on 95.7 FM, has long said his father deserves freedom due to an alleged prosecutorial misconduct and a local judge ruling 2 decades ago that vacated his sentence and ordered a new trial based on a series of irregularities that made his original trial unconstitutional. This was written about over the weekend by ABC News. And the story is here. Georgetown Law Program hopes to exonerate man serving life for killing his wife. All right, Cliff, thanks for being here on KCMO. How did this case of your father's end up at Georgetown University?
Good morning, Pete. Thanks for having me. Actually, about 2 years ago, a friend of mine convinced me to fill out an application for their Making an Exoneree program at Georgetown School of Law. And we put it in 2 years ago, and to be quite honest with you, I had forgotten about it, and back in, I'd say probably August, the late part of August there, they reached out to me and said they were going through the final processes of accepting his case. And just a couple of weeks ago, they got back with me and informed me they were indeed taking his case.
So what happens now?
Well, the exoneree program that they have set up at Georgetown School of Law, they only accept a handful, and they get hundreds. So we were real fortunate to have ours accepted. And they essentially have the law students working with the professors at the colleges. And there's one law student from Georgetown School of Law assigned to our case and 2 from California, Santa Cruz. And they will fly to Kansas City and reinvestigate the case. This is a very big development for us because of the police misconduct in destroying gunshot residue. We, for 34 years, have never been able to get the prosecutor's office or the police to let us know what happened to the missing gunshot residue, and it was of her left hand. And she was shot on the left side of her head. So that left-hand gunshot residue was very critical evidence, and they whited out documents and destroyed it. And, we're still trying to get to the bottom of it. So there's a lot that they will be looking into.
So take us through, for those that don't really know this story, back in the early 90s, what exactly happened to your mother, and how did your father become the prime suspect?
Well, they were the only 2 home, and she mishandled a pistol that he had laying out that he was going to put away later that day, and she picked it up and fumbled with it. And the forensic experts that testified in front of Judge Messina that convinced her to overturn his conviction testified that she was essentially trying to catch the gun as it fell and was looking down the barrel of the gun when it went off because of the trajectory of the bullet going upward at a 59-degree angle and ricocheting off of the wall and hitting the ceiling. They could trace back where the gun was at when it was fired. This was evidence the jury never heard because of a utterly incompetent defense attorney who has now been found ineffective in 5 murder cases, 2 of them death row cases. No, 3 of them death row cases. And most recently, Sandra Hemme. Bob Duncan was found ineffective in Sandra Hemme's exoneration last year. So that makes 5 cases that he was handling around this time. And a year after my father's conviction, he was disbarred for $655,000 of income tax evasion. So essentially, Duncan was taking on too much work trying to cover his own legal problems.
So you believe then that your mother just accidentally shot herself with your father's pistol?
Absolutely, absolutely. All the forensic evidence points to that. She was hit right above her left eye and from 8 inches away. And at the trajectory of the bullet, there was the forensic experts 100% said my dad couldn't have been around her. He didn't have any blood spatter on him.
So what is there anything when it comes to Governor Kehoe or anything else that can be done here locally or at a statewide level that you'd like to see happen?
Well, absolutely. The Jackson County Prosecutor's Office, I don't know if your listeners will remember, if you will, a law was enacted 3 or 4 years ago in 2021, RSMO 547031, which gives local prosecutors the authority to file a motion to vacate a conviction, and it gives the local courts jurisdiction to hear the case. And they utilized that one time for Kevin Strickland and have not utilized it since. And in my father's case, what's so disturbing about my father's case is the trial judge overturned the conviction. She reopened his case right there in Jackson County, and the trial judge overturned his conviction because of numerous instances of ineffective assistance of counsel on the evidence not being heard by the jury. So she overturned his conviction. The Jackson County Prosecutor's Office appealed that order, and the Court of Appeals, they got the Court of Appeals to rule that Messina didn't have jurisdiction to hear it. And they never addressed
who's Messina?
Judge Messina was the trial judge she also reopened the case 14 years later. And let me kind of explain that in layman terms to you, Pete. Essentially, what she's saying, what the Court of Appeals did was said she didn't have jurisdiction to hear it, and they never addressed whether or not he was wrongfully convicted. They just threw out the new trial over that. And that, the way I can compare that is, when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl in Nevada, against the 49ers, and they won, okay? Now, just imagine if the NFL would have come back and said, hey, hold on a minute. The Super Bowl was supposed to be played in Florida, so we're going to take back the Chiefs Super Bowl trophy.
Wow.
Can you imagine the outrage? That's exactly what has happened to my father, and this is a man's life, an 81-year-old man's life. We already proved he was wrongfully convicted, and they're holding him in jail because he won in the wrong courtroom that they allowed to happen. They allowed this hearing to take place, and we won. And then to take it back is it's incredible what has happened to my father. And that is one of the main things that jumped out to the Georgetown School of Law, because proving to the trial judge, who knew the case better than anyone, that you're wrongfully convicted, that's almost an impossible task to meet, and we met it. So, the thing that's so disturbing about Melissa Johnson's recent denial of my father's case is the reason she said she denied it. It was because the Court of Appeals reversed Messina's finding of ineffective assistance of counsel. That is a false statement, Pete. That categorically did not happen. The Court of Appeals never addressed whether or not my father was wrongfully convicted. They simply threw it out on a technicality. So an 81-year-old man is dying in prison over a technicality that he won in the wrong courtroom. It's really just unbelievable what's taking place.
Well, Cliff Middleton, I am glad that the Georgetown folks picked up your father's case, and I'd love to obviously stay in the loop on this, which I know that we will. Thank you for bringing it to my attention, and all the best to you and your dad, and keep us posted on how Georgetown does for you.
I sure will. They'll be here in January, and we look to get started on an in-depth investigation. So thanks for having me on, Pete.
All right, you bet, Cliff. Thank you so much. Cliff Middleton on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. What a story. I mean, 34 years fighting for his father, who's now 81 and still in prison. Unbelievable. Coming up, have you seen the story of the missing high school football coach that's starting to go viral and get more attention? This is getting weird. We'll tell you
headlines, but I haven't followed up on details.
Yeah, well, we'll catch you up on this one and tell you what's happening here, where it's happening, what exactly is going on, and what the speculation is right now, if any at all, coming up next on KCMO.
From Lenexa to Lee Summit, you're listening to Mundo in the Morning on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
If you haven't seen this story, just know it's going to only grow over the next couple of days until they figure out what the heck's going on here. So there's a high school football coach in Big Gap, Virginia, and Big Stone Gap. And this is a small town, 5,000 people, and the head football coach is missing. And no one knows where he is. And it's in the middle of an undefeated season as this team is getting set for a state championship coming up here in just a few days. This is like something out of like Nancy Grace's playbook or I don't know what. But the guy's name is Travis Turner. He's the head coach at Union High School in Big Stone Gap, Virginia. Small community, 5,000 people. And he was still listed as missing as of yesterday afternoon. And what you now have going on is you've got basically a statewide manhunt for this guy. Now, to be clear, he's not in trouble for anything. He's just missing. They don't know where he is. He's got a wife. He's got 3 kids. Kids are not adults. I mean, they look like the boys are teenagers. The daughters maybe, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. But his wife put up a social media post last night urging people to continue to pray that her husband returns home after he mysteriously vanished late last week in the middle of an undefeated season. His wife, Leslie, posted on Facebook last night, "I just wanted to get on here for now for a second and clear something up. Travis is missing. That's all we know. We want you to continue to pray for him." So it's not obvious what exactly is going on here and where the coach is. They won their game last week without him on the sideline. They had their semifinal game. They won it without him there. Now they're getting set for a state championship, and he is nowhere to be found. So this is a crazy news story, and you're starting to see now NBC News, New York Post, some of the national outlets are starting to pick this thing up because no one knows what's going on. And now Virginia police have issued a statewide alert as of yesterday for this missing coach, John.
Yeah, I'd seen the headlines, so this is more than I know about. No missing vehicle or anything like that's mentioned, right?
No. It's crazy.
Right.
It's like, all right, the guy was last seen in the far southwest corner of the Virginia Commonwealth wearing a gray sweatshirt, sweatpants, and glasses. That's the last place he was seen. I don't know how far that is from his home. I'll try to pull that up. But, man, this thing is taking a lot of twists and turns over the last couple of days.
I've watched a lot of these documentaries on people that have gone missing and stuff, so I wonder if he left his cell phone somewhere, because usually you can track somebody if they take their cell phone with them, so I assume they've gone down that rabbit hole.
I would agree with that. But, think about, you're going on almost a week now. So he was last seen about a half hour away from Big Stone Gap. So not that far is the last place he was seen. Search teams with the help of dogs and drones were concentrating efforts yesterday around the town of Appalachia, where he lives. Agents with the Virginia Bureau of Criminal Investigation had been sent to Turner's residence in Appalachia on Thursday as part of the investigation. The agency's spokesperson stressed that last week's visit was not aimed at arresting Turner, but they did not elaborate. Now, something else I saw in a different story, and I'm bouncing between all these stories I was reading on this last night, is that there was an employee with the public schools where he works and where he's the head football coach that has been put on administrative leave. Now, we don't know how exactly that's tied to the investigation. Neither the cops nor the school would identify the person and what's going on there. But there's a school employee who has been put on leave since the investigation and search began for the head football coach.
Did they say male or female?
I was wondering that too there, Mark. That's a great question. They have not identified the person is how it's being dubbed. Because you're going where I'm going.
A runaway relationship?
Yes. That's exactly where my mind went with that, John.
Any Coldplay concerts in the area? Right?
I told you I'm sick.
Yeah.
Don't make me laugh. It's like the fourth time this morning. My throat's killing me here.
Mark showed me a meme with Trump and Clinton, and that face is superimposed in that meme.
Oh, my gosh. You guys are killing me. No, you're right, though. I mean, this feels like, at this point, a runaway relationship. But, you know, the wife's doing all the right things right now. She's saying, pray for his return. We need him back, blah, blah, blah. That's what you'd expect from the wife in this scenario. But she has also deleted Facebook posts over the last few days, which is a little sketchy as well. In a since-deleted Facebook post, Leslie Turner wrote last Friday night, I just want to clear something up. As of right now, 10:25 p.m. on Friday, Travis is missing, and that's all we know. And that was it. Nothing more to the Facebook post than that, and she has since deleted that Facebook post. So I don't know what's going on with that either. But this thing, listen, I know we're going into a holiday, and sometimes these stories fall by the wayside, but you combine high school football, family man, 46, little kids, small town America, championship season, undefeated. I mean, this is like Netflix documentary type stuff.
20, 48 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Be waiting to see.
Exactly. So, you know, we may get more on this story coming up in the hours ahead. Who knows? There's a statewide manhunt out there for this high school football coach. And if he shows up, I mean, you'll be hearing about it. Travis Turner is his name as this story gets more and more national attention. Our caller of the day on the biggest issue facing not just Kansas City, but the entire country for young people, next.